What we're going to look at is the Chemex Ottomatic. This is built by the Chemex Corporation, and the Chemex Corporation, they are known for glassware like this. This is the pretty standard example of what they make. So this is a glass carafe that you do a pour over into, and you can traditionally it uses paper filters. And let's grab those real quick. You get a box like this, and inside what you're looking at is these. Now, these paper filters they're designed to remove all the impurities from the coffee, the micro little coffee grinds as well as the thick ones. And you wet it and you place it in. And what you'll get is you'll get a much smoother kind of cup of coffee because it's removing all of those tiny little bits of coffee that could be left in with the standard paper filter. So it's good, but it's also kind of wasteful for me because you go through a lot of these. This cost about 10 cents for a piece of paper. I think we did the math. I think it's 11 cents. So it's 11 cents added to your cup of coffee. So it's up to you what you want to do. What we decided on was changing our grind size a little bit and going with a metal one. So this has 2 walls of fine mesh, and what it does is it traps not as much, but it does get down to the kind of medium grind size. So if you go with a little coarser grind, you won't get much sediment in the bottom. If you go with the finer grind that you would for a traditional pour over, you might get some of those flavors that go in there. So it's kind of up to you, whatever you prefer. We use this every day. We've had this now for 9 years, this automatic. It came out in about 2015. And when it came out, we pre-ordered it. So before it even hit the market, we had put money down. We didn't even know what this thing was going to do. We went in totally blind. We were just such fans of the Chemex product that we had to have this. And 9 years later, it is what we use literally every single day of the week. So it's a good product. It's expensive at first, but after 9 years, and you think that typically we brew 1 to 2 of these pots, and it's the levels up to about here. It's not a full, it's not up to the top. So we've used this thing probably tens of thousands of times. Doing gorilla math here. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's make a cup, make a brew, and I'll show you how to use it. It's real simple. It literally has an on-off switch, and that is it. It does the rest. Now, the literature will tell you that the heat from the heating element, the pre-infusion, the way that the whole system works is been scientifically designed so that it would be the best cup of coffee. I think that's subjective. I think that your grind and your water temperature as well as the brew time, it's all subjective, and that whenever you try to make coffee scientific, I think it ruins a lot of the experience. Now, having said that, I love this cup of coffee. Now, what we're using today is we're using the Lavazza. This bag is a bag of the Super Crema, and this is more for like espressos. So this is, I believe, a darker roast. It actually doesn't say. I believe this is a darker roast than what we would normally put through. So what we use is the ground espresso, which is funny because even though it says espresso, it's actually a medium grind. Or medium, not medium grind, I apologize. It is a medium roast. So it is not a dark roast coffee. It is on the medium side, but it is the flavor profile that my family enjoys the most. There we go. We can get this in the shot. Yes. Excellent. All right. Let's go ahead and make it. So we're going to do the grind first. Here, let's move this over, and I'll show you the grinder that we use. So this is the Breville, and it is a conical burr grinder. And at the time that we got this because we had gone through 4 or 5 different grinders, getting to, they wouldn't grind well or they would break. And I think we got this through some sort of promotion or something like that. I can't remember now, but this thing is old too. I would say this thing's probably 5 or 6 years old as well. And this one was the highest rated as far as just having consistent grinds, and I totally believe it. So let's go ahead and figure it out. Okay, so first of all, let's just talk about it. So one, on the side here, there's a knob, and this is what controls your grind size. You can adjust it while it's off. Typically, you want to grind it while it's running, or you want to adjust the knob while it's running. This has been set for what we grind. So like if you press start, you get a little screen that comes up. And over here is the grind size. So we have it, it's a 35. Doesn't mean much other than for this machine. So, and pretty sure that machine to machine, this would be different. So you adjust it, you figure out what you want, and then you can write that down. And then whenever you go to do an espresso pour, or pour over, or French press, you have the numbers written down. So for this grind, which is finer than a drip, but nowhere near espresso. So it's almost exactly in the halfway on this indicator here. Cup size, we're doing about 7 cups of coffee. And it also shows you the grind time. And all of this stuff is changeable. So like I can increase the time by using this knob here, or decrease the time. I can have it just be automatic where you press the button and it changes the number of cups that you want to make. And it also has a start or pause. So when you press it, it just grinds, it grinds over time. But it also can just grind a certain amount that you want if you just press and hold. So it'd be really difficult to fit a scale under here, but you could find a scale that would fit it under, put your cup there, and then you could measure right in. Now, the way that I do it is I grind a little more than I would normally use, and then I dispense it onto a cup that's been tared out, and measure it that way, measure by the gram that way. So as far as workflow goes, it does probably about 90% of what you would do in your home. All right, it's gonna get loud, so we're gonna go ahead and move this off to the side and brew that, or grind that, I should say. All right. Get about 30 seconds of a loud grind, so. Everyone is joined. How are you guys doing? Let me know in the comments how's your day going, and like what's your favorite type of coffee? Like when you wake up in the morning, what do you make? Do you make a drip? Do you make a percolator? Do you do a pour over? Are you doing something fancy like an espresso? Okay, we've got the coffee. Let's go ahead and get the water. Now, what we do is that we use the Chemex to measure the amount of water that we're going to use. And again, you're going to be completely different. So you can do half of this, you can go all the way to the top. It doesn't matter. This does hold 8 cups of water. There's a little marker up here. I believe that this is a 6. So up to it's really supposed to be to this mark. We put a little more in You go with whatever the process is that you like. So let's get some water. So we got some nice fresh water here. And then we go again. We go up to the base of the handle. That's our little measuring point. And then you're going to take this and you're going to pour it in. Yep. And that mark here is exactly at the 6 cup line indicated on here. All right. Next, let's put the top on. Not really needed. You don't have to put it on. It's just to keep stuff out. Let's push this a little forward. Actually, let's move it out of the way. So I do have a process for this. Now, whenever you use a grinder, you're gonna get clumps and stuff like that in there. Now, there are different ways. You can actually kind of see it as you move this around. It smells so good. But you can put the top on, which is the reason I like this so much, is it does have a sealable top. And you can kind of give it a shake. What I like to do is I have a little whisk. And I have no idea where we got this thing from. But as you can see, it is just literally a little whisk, but it is great. And I just pass it through the grinds. And you can actually see as you're doing it that you're breaking up the clumps. And the reason you want to do that is that as the water is hitting your grounds, and if you have this clump in there, the water is not going to penetrate into that, and you're going to get this uneven infusion, or you're going to get an uneven brew, basically. Okay, so we've got that kind of, mixed up, and then just try to spread it around. And if you see any more clumps, just kind of hit it again. You don't have to be like super intense about it. You want to get off as much as you can. You can see you get now a nice bed of coffee in there. Here, let me adjust this a little bit. I think that's good. So you got a nice bed of grounds. You want to make sure that this is on nice and straight. And what you're going to do is put it in the machine. Let me make sure we are good here. Yeah. And then turn it on. It is really that simple. And now what's going to happen is that it's going to start to heat up the water, and a little red light comes on here. And the red light basically means that it's brewing. Once the light hits white, that means that the brewing is done. But you're still getting you're still brewing inside of the pour over. So you want to make sure that the water has stopped. You can, so here you go, here's the pre-infusion. So you can take this basket out and set it onto something. And it's going to be hot, and you might get a little bit of water out of it. That's all okay. Just be careful with it, is really all it is to it. So there's the pre-infusion. So what it does is it's going to try to fill up the basket with water. And then, here, let me get the overhead shot on that. So what you can see is the water is now inside of the basket, and what it's doing is it's trying to get everything wet, and it's gonna now sit and allow all of the carbon dioxide and all of the oils and everything else to basically escape. It's giving it time. You see it's just barely kind of dripping in there. It's not adding too much water. And you can also hear too, It's really quiet. You get a little bit of steam every so often. The main thing that you hear is kind of the gurgling in the tank over to the side, but it is not loud at all. And most of the time, we have to go check on it to see when it's done. There's no audible noises that it makes. Here, let's make sure that this is straight in there. There we go. And you can see, like, on the top, all of the foam that gets around. And so that's part of the pour over process, is that it does the brewing of those grounds kind of like in a suspension. So all the grounds are now up. You're getting this nice, beautiful bloom on there. And then the water, as it comes down, so you're pouring the water on the top, and the water is going to just kind of constantly seep down. So you're controlling the speed of the brewing by the grind of the coffee that's in there. So if it's going too slow, the grind is a little too fine, coarsen the grinds up. If it's going too fast, it might be too coarse. And if you want to get really nerdy with this, you can. You can put a timer on it. You can measure out the grams of the amount of coffee you put in versus the amount of water, get the ratios right. And then once you get your ratios right, you can measure your drawdown time, or the time that the water takes from completion to end. It can be that this is taking too long, so you know how to adjust it. It's going too long, grinds are too coarse, make smaller grind. So that's what the beauty of also grinding your own beans is that you control the major aspect of making good coffee, which is the grind. That's the reason why grinders cost as much as they do, is because of your ability to control the coffee. And you see, like, hands-free, like we don't watch this when it's making coffee. And it's not like an espresso machine where you're controlling things, or a pour over where you're the one doing the pouring of the water using a kettle. We literally get this going and then go put on the news. That's getting towards the end here. So this chamber here, I'll only open this up because it really is just to keep stuff from getting in there. So once it gets to the end, this light here will go from red, you hear a little click, to white. Now what that tells you is that this is empty. There's no more water to go through the brew head. But this is still full. So even though it's finished, you still want to wait. You want to wait for that to come down. All of the products that we're showing here are all through our affiliate link. We do make a small amount of money for anything that's purchased through there. The coffee, the Chemex, the automatic, the grinder, everything that you see on here is actually on Amazon and can be purchased through them too. I will have to say that the Breville, for the cost, it's like, I don't know how much it is exactly, and the prices change. So, but for the price, it's probably the best bang for the buck. There are better grinders out there, no doubt. But there are much worse grinders for more money as well. Okay, you can see here our grind is stopping. We're just getting now some drips that are coming through. And you can use like a little jar or something like that to grab and just set so that it catches the drips. And just be careful if you do move it. All of this part here that's in this gray is warm to the touch. I wouldn't say it would burn you, but it would be uncomfortable. So just be careful with that. All right. I'm gonna give it a little bit of a shake. You can see like it's a really, really like nice color brew that comes out of there. There is a little bit of sediment, and it has to do with the fact that we're using the metal filter. If you use the paper filter, there is no sediment at the bottom that I've ever seen after doing hundreds of brews with the paper filter. But we're just gonna do coffee. Maybe I'll set this here. And this is literally what we make every morning. So put a little creamer in it, a little milk, a little sugar, or just drink it black because it does taste really good black. Yeah. It's just got a little bit of bitterness to it, but it's that coffee bitterness that, if you like, is the way to go. You know, we can again adjust the brew size, go with the paper filter, and you can get almost all of the bitterness out of the coffee based on the way that you brew. So it's really up to you. You put a little bit of time and effort into it, and you really make the coffee the way you like. This is kind of an in-between between me and my wife, what we like. She likes the dark, bitter, kind of dark chocolate flavors from coffee. I like mine to be on the sweeter end. So I can add like a little bit of butter, which is a little odd, but it makes a really good cup of coffee as well. A little creamer, or just froth up some milk and put that in there. And that's how I enjoy my coffee. I like my drinks on the sweeter side. So, but black, this is perfectly drinkable. It's a really good cup of coffee.